What a run.
Yeah.
Holy
What
shit.
a
Holy
run.
All right. Well, I mean, yes.
Oh my God! Oh, one of the great stories in the history of ESPN. 23 years.
That's a good point, Dan.
Thank you. I don't do interviews often, though I love talking. But when family calls, you pick up the phone on a day like today. Dan, this has happened before. This has happened to all of you guys before. But there's a day when you open up Google and your face is on there and you're the top of the news story. Dan, you like saying things that get you in trouble, and that happens from time to time. I'm not somebody that's courting that per se. So there it was, my face looking at me.
Oh,
And now-
I hope you are absorbing today, okay? Because there's an outpouring. Around the Horn is finished after 23 years, and Tony Reali did something damn near impossible. From doing sports trivia in sports bars on campuses,
True story.
he parlayed a community at ESPN that is heartbroken today because a generation grew up on this show. And so it might feel like a sad day in some ways. I hope it does not, but I wish to celebrate you because I can't believe the run, Tony. 23 years, climbing from basically intern to a legitimate sports television personality that could have had his choice of jobs at God Bless America, or I'm sorry, Good Morning America. No, and have arrived, have arrived at 23 years doing this. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I felt every minute of it the last 23 years. I'm a present person, Dan. You know this about me, and I'm an intentional person. You know that about me as well. So I felt it throughout every show. Never felt like work. Still doesn't feel like work. The next 2 months won't feel like work. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy performing. I felt connection to the audience every day for the 23 years. So to see what happened yesterday in the release, or the comments, I mean to say, and I am overwhelmed, of course, 'cause my goal is to respond to everybody. That's a goal of mine. I'll take the next 2 months and respond to everybody, because that's how I feel. That's why I'm in the business, Dan. I know why you got into the business. You're
To bang a drum.
brilliant, and you're a drummer, much like myself. You take these meetings. I march to the beat to my own drummer, and I am my own drummer because I play the drums. And I thought of Dan doing that. But the whole point is, I got into the business to be with people, to perform. Because you're an amazing writer and intellectual, and you're going to get to the bottom of stories. I want to feel, And that's what I tried to do on Horn, especially after my first 100 episodes where I was just hanging on for dear life.
Now, Tony, I know you are a very humble person in real life, right? But none of this can be shocking to you, right? You have to know that people love this show, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Like I said, I felt every bit of that. I'm not somebody who doing a daily TV show, I mean, and watching every game or covering it, every bit of the research every day. It's like storming Normandy Beach, I mean, every day. I've done 4,000. I mean, we're at 4,905 right now, I think, today. And I've done 4,700 of them. And then I did PTI every day, and I was doing double duty every day. I didn't come up for air, and I don't need to come up for air. I mean, my energy is just the same as it was the day I took over the show, and my love for that sort of thing. What I evolved in is how I see my role maybe as host. I was a sports brainiac know-it-all that wanted to demonstrate that and also score the debate like judge, jury, and all that, to somebody who wanted to actually pull at the strings of what's behind the story. I mean, and have the most real moment on TV, if I can say that, it's got my name written right in it, right? Trying to be relatable and unpredictable on TV. That was the goal as I became aware and intentional of how I want to host. But no, of course I always knew that. I mean, I have shared the deepest moments with our viewers, both myself, but they've come right back at me with that. And I'm talking about, I've been in church in Accra, Ghana, and I've had people come up with me. And we're not just talking about LeBron. We're talking about a moment, where I talked about my family, or we're talking about loss of Kobe Bryant, or we're talking about a FaceTime Woody Page had where he talked about suicide. Where that's what the show means to me. The fulfilling part of the show isn't just who you got debates. It's also some of the other stuff we were able to do.
How important was that part of the show to you, showing reporters from around the country, giving a point of view that might not be found on the other ESPN shows?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did take over the show a year in. Max was of course terrific at the way he wanted to host the show, and I wanted to do it slightly different. You play up the regions first, right? I mean, that was something we weren't doing on TV in 2002 at the time. You know, we were having so let's lean into the regions. But then at some point, and maybe it's not in vogue to say now, I know we had a great stable of people. It was 4 old white guys for a little while, and that wasn't the type of show I wanted to host. Again, you want to be diverse in regions, you want to be diverse in all the different type of people we had in the show. That was important to me. That was. So that motivated me and fulfilled me through and then the types of stories we were going to talk about. It wasn't just going to be, the Cowboys every day, even though that would be enjoyable for me in some parts of my personality. So pushing that. Oh, there we go. I just realityed it.
Reali, this is not very professional, everything that's happening here. Can you just leave the camera someplace and be good with it, or
he's
no?
Holding his phone.
Honestly,
That's
Dan, are you serious? I mean, let me see if I can get a tripod.
I'm just saying. We saw your crotch, and I'm like, I don't think that's what you wanted.
Everybody's got that, Dan. That's what you're getting.
Everyone has a crotch. It's true.
Thank you You have to say it. That's your pull quote.
Put it on the poll. Does everyone have a crotch at Le Batard Show?
Also, this is a great because Tony is always very high energy ever since the first day I met him to now. So it shaking like this is like that's how he is. That's what it's like to be in Tony's presence.
Yeah. I mean, this is what you're getting right now. I wanted to make time for you guys because, like I said, Dan, you've been there for me. And throughout many different things, we've been there. We've been through a lot, and your family. And this is the first. I mean, the New York Times wrote an article about me 4 years ago, and I said I don't need to talk again publicly. It was so gushing that I don't need to talk again publicly for a long time. But here I am today.
Well, I thank you for that, and I really do want people to appreciate this as a story and as a human being, because what Reali is saying there, I will tell you, he's as fundamentally decent as anyone in this business. Everyone who comes on his show, the people, the reporters who are scared and nervous, the way that he welcomes them is the way that a family member would welcome you. It's not the way television is. He built something purposely warm, okay, even though that's not the reputation it might have had because it's sports argument television and they were keeping score, but he did build a community, and it's really hard to do there. Like there aren't many shows there that have a community the way that we have a community where you know your fans and it's because they've lived through some stuff with you. It's not just because of the sports stuff. The part I'm confused by, though, Tony, and I don't know what happened here is a business decision. I looked at the ratings. So you were number one in, so 18 to 34 key demo, number one, all of television, 5 p.m. You're regularly outrating First Take, regularly outrating NFL Live, regularly outrating Get Up. Like, why is the show not continuing?
Well, I'd be stat boy. I mean, I think First Take's ratings are good in the last couple of years, and they may have beat us on the majority of days. I mean, I don't look at ratings. I'm a guy who's like, if you build it, they will come. I feel very confident. I know that this wasn't that decision. I mean, so this is we're all hired to say goodbye to a show at some point. And I recognize what that is. This is not about that for me. This is about, me knowing that, well, me feeling the audience in the last 24 hours. That's part of it for me. And I mean, I'll say this. We did a story last week. I love Diana Taurasi. I love everything about her. When she's not dressed for game, she's wearing black leather like me. I love that about her too. And she had this incredible line. I thought it was so great, Dan. When she retired, she said, "I'm full and happy." Well, I can still eat. I'm hungry, and I'm happy. And I know everybody who I work with. They can still eat. Everybody can still eat, and there's a lot of food to go around. And that's But I feel hungry, and I know I'm happy. I'm going to be happy, but I also want to. This is why we talked this morning. Okay, I'll come on and talk to you because it's important for me to show people that next day when you get the news, that ever you get, you still come up and you still approach the day however you want to approach it. I was sad yesterday, and I can be full in that feeling of sadness and happiness, and I'm still sad today, and I can still be happy in other parts of me, and I can still enjoy talking, about the story we're doing today in the Dodgers, when they said Sasaki was dirty and electric and nasty and loud, or whatever the quotes were. And I'm like, that's Black Sabbath, baby, in 1968 when they came out. I'm going to enjoy, giving a Black Sabbath reference today on the show.
Can you explain to the people, though, how unlikely this story is, Tony? Because
yes, absolutely.
I don't know if my recollection will be a romantic one or not, but Max Kellerman was having a dispute over what was his show that would then become IMAX, and there wasn't a plan for replacing him, and so they went and got you, who was interning at, pardon the interruption, down the hallway. Tell me what I've got wrong here. And,
okay, yeah. And not the stat boy again. So, I mean, how I got PTI is absurd. I was a researcher, which is a fundamental part of the show. I say for all researchers, and I love researchers because, I mean, we're doing lifting. And I got hired to do stat boy on PTI, or, moved into that position that they just created a week before PTI launched because of the way I was operating with Tony and Mike and Eric and Matt and that type of energy. But the horn hosting, to be a host of an international television show at age 25, I may have filled in at 24. I got a phone call on a Sunday night. It was the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Panthers. It was the halftime of Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake. And I got a call saying, tomorrow we don't have a host. Max is in contract negotiation. It might not go this way. It might go that way. Can you fill in tomorrow? So that's really when I took over the show, was the day after Patriots beating the Panthers in the Super Bowl and wardrobe malfunction. One of the biggest stories we did, for weeks after that. That's my first show. At that point, I'm young. I'm very green. I'm wearing the only suit I have. And I'm sweating through it, and I don't know how to host a TV show. I had done sports calling in college, and I had done game calling. I love play-by-play, for Fordham University. This was a dream of mine to host a show like this. This was a dream of mine to work in this capacity, but it came overnight, and I filled in one day, and I filled in the second day, and I had to put on my second tie. And by Wednesday, I was out of clothes, and I hosted the show as best as I could on a day-to-day contract, I think, if I remember correctly, for months. I know ESPN, maybe considered other hosts. I know they brought in a dream job contestant, Zachariah Selwyn, for a while. I know maybe. I never understood why they weren't bringing in Scott, Rich Eisen at the time, or Linda Cohen or somebody, because I believed in the show. But that's how I got the job. I got a phone call the night before my first real day hosting, the day of the Super Bowl.
Was there any plan? There wasn't really a plan, right? You just had to keep your head down. As I recall, you weren't being paid. True. There wasn't negotiations.
Well, no, I'm sure I was being paid. I was definitely being paid a day rate, and I think I was sure as happy. And I knew I wanted to stay on PTI. But Eric's ride home said the best advice I heard at that moment was keep your head down and just focus on horn. So I think I took a couple of weeks off PTI, and I just did horn for a while, and I learned how to kind of host the show in the way the show was written and constructed at that moment. But my next year or two, while I was, working to try to get a long-term contract, and it took probably a year, I would say, respectfully for everybody, I was slowly trying to evolve what the role of the host was, because I didn't want to host a show that I was judge, jury, and executioner in maybe the way it was initially, I think the host was supposed to have the final opinion, and I didn't want to really do that. So I wanted to kind of put the panelists in position to prove why their opinions are right, and then have some fun with the play of the show. And then, of course, we evolved in any number of ways over 22 years with both our crew of people. And I mean, I know you're talking to me right now, but we have to talk about, Woody Page and Bob Ryan and Bill Plaschke and Kevin Blackistone and Tim Kalishaw, who did so much of the heavy lifting, Jay Adonde all those years, and do all the heavy lifting every day. And of course, what we become, which I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of the heart this show had, but that we introduced to the entire community in some ways. Mina Kimes, who I met many times, saying, "There's a place for you on TV," and we got to a place where she was comfortable.
Nah,
and
we
Monica
kind of that was Mina's ours.
Yeah, I know.
We did Mina. That was
and
us.
Monica McNutt and Pablo Torre.
Sarah
and
Spain
Bomani
was
Jones.
ours. Pablo Torre
At what
was
point
ours.
does
Sarah
Mina get to
Spain.
claim her
I
own
mean,
success?
I had real moments where I was tracking video of Bomani doing radio out of, maybe it was Toronto, the score, while he was doing that of North Carolina. Or Sarah Spain. I mean, I
She's
knew
ours too.
the first time I saw Sarah, I mean, it was her third show, and I was thinking, I need to get her on a big ticket debate show we were doing on live, because she was such a force of nature. And it goes on and on.
You can keep Sarah, by the way.
You can tell me anything you want. I know we had, and our panelists have been incredibly gracious. I'm talking about specifically Woody and Bob and Bill and Jackie and Tim and Bill. As we expanded, that meant one fewer show a week, 2 fewer shows a week for those incredible Hall of Famers. So not only is that 25, now 30, now 35-year-old kid muting them on international TV, but also a new generation is coming in and taking a show away from them, 2 shows away from them. And the show evolved to a place where it became not the same people every day, you know?
So, Tony, you named a bunch of amazing journalists, amazing people, amazing. And it'd be unfair for me to ask you who was the best panelist. So I'm going to do the opposite and ask you, who was the worst panelist and why was it Stugotz?
I would certainly not answer that question in any way.
It's got to be Stugotz. Look at him.
Stugotz for
Look
sure.
at him.
Yes, of course. I will give Stugotz credit that he walked into a show that wanted to score him minus 500, and I couldn't. He just made me laugh so much that he had to get some ding-ding-dings. But I will also say only one person has played a mononucleosis spleen on Halloween, and that was Stugotz when he was Sam Darnold's spleen, I believe, or Zach. Who had the injured spleen for the New York quarterback?
It was Darnold.
Yeah.
Can you tell people, because I don't know how you're going to be comfortable discussing this part, given that you like, you're a decent person and you're really happy with the success you have. So I haven't seen vanity. I've seen from you, ego, not stuff that would be ugly. But you're responsible with a handful of people for not only changing ESPN, but changing sports television discourse. Really, you're in the center of that. So how do you regard your legacy there?
Oh, Dan. I mean, we're gonna have to. What are we doing? I'll come down for a week and hang out with you guys, and we'll do.
Yes, please.
We'll do a full sessions, and we can unpack.
All
How
right.
do I mean, what are you?
Well, but Tony, you should be proud of yourself.
I am proud of myself.
Today you should be proud of yourself. You at ESPN were somebody who changed the way we were doing things.
Yes, I feel that too. I absolutely feel that, and I know our viewers feel that too, and I can talk about that. I can tell you how I processed it yesterday. I think I was listening to On the Wings of Love radio when I walked out of the meeting I went to, because I wanted to listen to some of that, or maybe I heard the Sabrina Carpenter song. Heartache is one thing, my ego's another. I mean, I'm going through. Like I told you, I'm going to come on with you today because you're family, and I'm going to open up to you. However, I mean, when I come, let's do this. I'll come for a week. I want Jeremy to get out some keys or some drums. I want Cody's voice ready. We'll make some music. All right. I want to do that. You got me on that.
You got it.
All right. Of course. Me and Pablo got it. We're going to chop it up too.
Well, we have somebody here who wants to talk to you, and Jeremy does as well. We'll get to Jeremy in a second, but let's go to the set of Around the Horn right now, where Izzy Gutierrez joins us now with whatever Izzy's thoughts are on Around the Horn officially being announced.
I was waiting.
Over after 23 years. Good job, video.
It's almost as if, you didn't know you had somebody who was on the show over the course of, what just happened?
Matrix.
Over the course
course of 16 years. But no, I'm not talking to Tony. I can talk to Tony whenever I want to. Tony asked me for permission to come on the show today. Okay, I'm talking to Amin here because Amin asked who the worst panelists of all time were. I'm going to go back and tell you who the best panelist of all time was. Only one panelist took a Halloween Obama impression and decided to use it throughout the show, setting the tone for future Halloween episodes forever. Only one panelist spent 7 hours doing fake tattoos on my body, becoming Conor McGregor, and doing an Irish accent that I'd only practiced on the drive over there, okay? All of this was accomplished because I did it, and I was on that show. And outside of the old heads, outside of the Kalashaws, the Platchkeys, the Woody Pages, wins leader. This guy over here, more than Pablo Torre.
Yeah, it's all true. And I was waiting for Israel to pop in because I didn't mention his name specifically.
Well, Monty Jones would like a word on who's the best panelist in the history of the show.
Yeah, where was he?
Israel, you asked me, who my favorite panelist is, and I do this bit where, I say it's whoever I'm talking to at the moment, or what was my favorite mute, the next mute, this was my favorite mute, Israel's very important to me.
I believe you said that it's Jackie McMullen. I believe.
Yeah, I said that last week because I was with her. Yeah. Me and Israel grew up. See, now I'm getting emotional, and I'm 100% happy with this. And again, I wanted to show people, we're riding waves here. We're all every day in TV and the jobs you have at home that aren't in this industry and just in life. You're riding waves. You're surfing. You're gonna get knocked over by waves, and you get up, of course. And I'm gonna be on TV today, and I'll be smiling, and you'll know I feel happy, and I also feel sad. But I think of Israel as somebody. We opened each other up in a lot of ways as the humans that we became, and the adults and the men that we became, because we were on TV at very young ages, And Israel, you sent me an email once, 10 years ago, and it changed your life. But it changed my life too, and you need to know that, And it changed how I thought about how I wanted to be publicly out in the world, Because there was yet another reminder how what we do. I don't need reminders, but I got one there. We have a chance to be public in showing people how to treat other people, how to feel, how to emote. Who watches ESPN around the horn? What's our slogan? To meet people anywhere. But who watch? Young people watch. What is a safe space for young people to emote? Sports. You're not, maybe some young men or young women didn't feel like they're allowed to show emotion in their younger lives. Oh, don't cry, don't scream. I cried about the Yankees until I was 20, probably, if I was being honest. It's a safe space to show emotion. And then now you could apply that safe space that sports gives you. Well, let's extend it now. You can show emotion and you show your full self in more real ways. And that became, something that I wanted to do.
I'll just say this real quick, Tony. I was just in Colorado recently, and somebody said, hey, you recognized me and said, hey, I grew up on that. I grew up on that show, and thank you for doing that. Yeah. And it just made me realize that I grew up on the show. I grew up because of you and because of everybody else. And we're going to miss out on that. There's a lot of people that, even at our age who still watch the show religiously and are going to miss what you sort of created and sort of bonding everybody together there. So we're definitely going to miss
but
you,
the word grow works another way too, Israel, right? I mean, things end because they have to end, but they end because you have to grow elsewhere, right? I mean, you have to, in order to grow, you have to move from that space. I believe that. I mean, that's, I will tell you this. I've told you this, Israel, Dan. I've told everybody. I love doing the show. It didn't feel like work. I could have said goodbye, but years ago they could have said goodbye to the show whenever they wanted. I understood that. I kept on doing it because I value, what I was doing. And I was discerning, I could have added the podcast or the game show that I dreamt about, or the Anthony Bourdain style show for sports that I dream about, or American Ninja Warrior, or the Red Zone, or all these amazing shows that I watch when I'm not watching PTI or you guys, the shows that I watch with my kids. I want to do those things. But I also committed to doing this show, and I was happy. I don't have any regrets about that I didn't add the second or third or fourth show on. I liked hosting the show, but I liked writing the show. And I liked putting together the show with Aaron Solomon and Josh Bard and Caroline Willett and Jeff Weiner and Tierney Corrigan. That's it. I just named the entire editorial team of Around the Horn, a show that does an episode every day for 23 years. It's 5 people, you know?
If we uncancel the show, can we get you a tripod for that phone, please?
Guys,
seriously,
you're gonna get me for a full week in Miami. You guys can be Scorsese. We can cinematically shoot it any way you want. I just dropped off 3 kids at school. I only did 2. Sorry, my wife dropped off, but I also dropped off Antonella. I just walked through the streets here. It's 46 degrees, and you got me here. I got to write Around the Horn. I got to go to, this is my busy season. Today's Ash Wednesday, right? So now you just got me on camera without an Ash.
Oh, no.
On Ash Wednesday.
Oh, no, that's a first.
That's a first. I've talked about that publicly too, but that's, something I always wanted to be exactly, I'm trying to give a 1-to-1 ratio. I don't advise that for everybody in the industry. There's certainly a place for people to dress up any way they like or perform any way they want. I'm a goofball. I'll dress up with anybody, but in the role of that show, if Woody Page is being amazing at being the crazy uncle, I want it to be like authentic. That's a bad word because everybody uses that, but I want it to be 1-to-1 me, and maybe I'll be a person who dresses up when I'm in Miami next month, in 2 months from now.
This segment is presented by LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DLS.
Yes,
Terms and conditions apply.
Can I do that? That sounds like a great opportunity right now.
Earnestly, I want to say I grew up on the show and have been a huge fan. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to work in sports was because I watched this in PTI.
We met once
every
in the
single
street.
day. We
I
did.
remember this.
And that was when I was like 4 or 5 years ago. I think it was maybe right after I started working here. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, that was the coolest thing ever. That Tony Reali knew who I was just walking down the street in the Seaport. But earnestly, thank you. It's been incredible to watch. And I'm really grateful that the show existed when I was growing up, becoming a sports fan and then working in sports media. But on a less earnest note, Stugotz's spleen costume, one of the laziest costumes that I've ever seen. We have a picture of it here. He's just wearing like a red sheet over his head.
What is that? What is that?
Yeah,
he's an emergency substitute.
Oh, look at this, though. Come on, Sarah Spain. Come on. Look at that. Look at Clinton and Tim. That you take that screen grab and that works, and then Logan Roy. Oh yeah.
Woody
that was
Logan Roy is the number one.
So who knows what his spleen looks like? But that he would. And I think his first words that show were, "Let me spleen something to you, Tony." That's true.
Tony.
I want to thank Tony too for this move at the end of every show when he throws the paper at the.
Oh, yes, that's a good one, Chris.
The best. I do it every anytime I'm around a camera, I throw a paper at it.
Yeah. I'm proud of my 4% success rate, my hit rate, 4%. I hit one behind the back. It's somewhere a GIF on Twitter. So I'm proud of that too.
Yo, chicken time.
I've never seen you do that.
I'm telling you, I do it anytime I'm around.
Wasting papers.
We'll see you in 23 and a half hours.
What about the trees?
Yeah. So I think it won't be an infinity and a half hour break for me, but I hope. This is. Let me come down and see you guys.
We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We've been talking.
There it is.
He's going to come down for a week. We're going to enjoy the holy hell out of celebrating a majestic career. When we're talking about Ash Wednesday, how many consecutive Ash Wednesdays have you?
That would be all of them.
All of them. Since you started. Since you started your first year.
Yeah, I wore an Ash on PTI when I was that boy. I'm sure of it. So I've always, of course, been that person. I go to church on Sundays.
What are you giving up for Lent? You got to start now.
I'm a spiritual person, and I believe So that's part
Giving
of
up
it. So that'll
half
be
He's
caffeine,
giving up
maybe?
around the horn for Lent. He's giving
Oh,
up.
that's a good line. I think someone else is giving up, but yeah, I would say,
That's Petardos.
No, I mean, I think we'll get to that week in Miami and let's do something really fun.
Sorry about that, Tony. We muted Dan.
Tony, let me ask you something. So I was walking in today, and I'm a Catholic, so Ash Wednesday is a thing for me. And there seem to be people doing drive-by ashes, like on the corner.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, can I do drive-by ashes? Because I'm trying to figure out, like, there's like a mass at 7, but my daughters go to bed at that time.
I support it.
Should I like indulge in drive-by ashes, or am I cheating because I'm not really doing the whole thing? Like, how does this work in your books? I don't know why I'm asking you, like you're like a bishop or something. But Cardinal Reali, what should I do?
Well, I'm not Cardinal Pizza Baller. Who is we've learned about. Have you guys done this bit? I'm sorry if I missed it. Pierre Battista Pizza Baller.
No, but we need to talk about. He's apparently in the running to be the next pope.
Unbelievable, all-time greatest name, Pierre Battista Pizza Baller.
Actual.
I get in trouble. I get in trouble with a couple of my communities. You know, the Italian community wasn't happy with me when I spoke some things about Columbus. And my own church isn't happy sometimes when I've talked about how I if you're getting an ash, you're doing it right. If it's a drive-by and you have what I will broadly call the primacy of conscience, if I can speak in a catechismic way for a second.
Yeah, but I get to save time too. It saves me.
I believe in the primacy of conscience. If you believe in your heart that this is the way that you and you will continue to pay it forward in the spiritual way. That's the way. Yeah, it saves time too. Yeah, timing. Yeah.
I don't think I got to be honest. I don't think any of that is on the up and up. I don't think you can.
There's a church here. They were just standing on the corner doing ashes for anyone that wanted.
All right, put it.
But then I'm wondering, like, do I need to make a donation and then like do I Venmo a church? Like, how does that work? You know?
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does God allow His sacraments on street corners at Le Batard Show? I just think that you're doing it very hastily if you're not properly honoring God by treating it as a drive-through Ash Wednesday situation.
I believe in any prayer, as hasty as it could be, still counts as a prayer. You know, the boom, boom, boom sign of the cross, pump it. I mean, you know, if you're doing it and it takes a second, that's fine. That's a good second you spent.
To get earnest one more time with you, Tony.
Can we just be honest?
Just one last time here. Just like Jessica, like I grew up watching this show. The first time I ever thought about, hey, sports TV seems like it would be something fun is when I was like 10 years old and my mom turned to me and said, who's that guy? You should try to do that. And it was you watching Around the Horn. And I watched religiously all the time. Our power just
lights
went
out, Guerrilla Radio. There we go.
Oh, my God. That was amazing.
So you're worried about my camera angle, and now you guys can't keep the lights on.
Yeah, we're being assaulted by light. It literally looks like the heavens are projecting on us right now. But
that was to show you that, one sign of the cross and one ash, walk away was enough.
Or God was like, don't do the drive-by ashes.
Yeah, clearly.
We're still on the air.
I believe I've blasphemed, and that is my comeuppance for threatening God with my blasphemy.
Man, that was terrifying. But all that said, Tony, like
even God was like, enough, Jeremy.
All right. Fair enough. I was just going to say, you know what? I'm going to power through. Nonetheless, Tony, you were an inspiration to so many different people, including myself, and I was lucky enough to intern with your show and learn so much from the way that you treated people on the staff. It created an environment that I wanted to continue to be a part of. It's why I aspired to be a part of a show like this, because I knew that Dan had learned so much from the offices that you were a part of in D.C. And learning from all of the folks who you mentioned before, and Josh and Jeff and interning with Caroline. These are amazing people who do amazing work. Thank you so much for being an inspiration for me, and I know so many
Thank you for saying that. Of
people.
Course, that's on you. You did it all. I remember when your intern application came in. I remember that moment. Wow. Did we make a video congratulating you?
You did. You made a video.
That's one of my favorite things we always did.
It was the best thing in the world. You guys, it was a buy and sell on every intern, and they would do buy or sell.
I'll tell you what I need to go to confession for, okay? Is that the only time I get
Billy,
in
how
trouble.
did this become about Jeremy?
I waited 32 minutes to do this.
Yeah, wait. So I'm going to say is what I get in trouble with at ESPN was giving tours to people on the street who would just recognize me, and I'd say, come up and see the show. And this is where I get in trouble because we didn't go through security, and I recognize what that is. But and making videos, I would say yes. I would make videos for bar mitzvahs and brisses, which, a bar mitzvah video is great because you get to sign off with saying, I hope this one goes better than bris, I love that bit. And hockey teams winning, and I want to just give all that to people, But when an intern joins us and we get to send them a video and an email telling them they got the job, that's my favorite thing. I love that one.
It's one of the most special moments I'll ever experience.
You still have the
career.
video?
I do. I still have it. I can find it somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can find it. I mean, I'm sure it's not, going into the Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
I don't think Jeremy has the video. I don't think he can find it. I at the very least haven't had it. Should I be a chicken if I'm defending myself? I have it. It was 2016. It's not that long.
And we thought Adrian Brody was
I'm really, really young.
You're not allowed to talk as one of the chickens.
I wasn't sure if I could do it or not.
You're not allowed to. What are you doing? Tony, good seeing you. Really, honestly, one of the great stories in the history of ESPN, one of the longest runs in show history, and better as a human being than he was as a TV host, and he's been one of the best in the history of ESPN. Tony, thank you so much, buddy.
Tony.
We'll see you in a few weeks.
See you in a little bit. Thank you, guys. I love you all. All right. Bye now.
Thank you.